blow me to Bermuda!
What a splendid idea! Blow me to Ibiza! Oh, hello there, my loves. Yes, I'm back. I'm back from Ibiza. That spell works quite wonderfully. So I've just come on just to say hello, really. This week there will be fuck all coming from me, I'm afraid, my loves. Yes, I've got to go and visit some family, using some spells to get me there, of course. But I thought I would talk today, about the honeymoon we went on. I won't go into too much detail, my loves, but I'll tell you a few things. You know, it's going to be one of those kind of boring things where your family come back with a load of photographs. I'll show you a few, and I'll talk about various things that are contingent upon the honeymoon, other than the fact that I've lost my virginity at last, my loves. Yes.
Yeah, let's screw. I want to fuck. God, it was so dirty.
Okay, right, yes. Only true followers may proceed up to this point, or beyond this point. Yeah, it's just going to be about me and my wife. But anyway, here we go. So the big problem was, would I get on the plane, my loves? And it was a tricky business.
This road leads directly to the airport, Hannibal.
This road is nowhere near the airport.
For the first few days leading up to when we were taking the flight, I was really shitting it, and I wasn't in the right frame of mind. I suffer from anxiety anyway, and it just went through the roof. Anyway, my preparations amounted to this. I had this thing called Rescue Remedy. So you get like a little dropper thing, and you put it under your tongue. It didn't really work. I also invested in a pot of this Velo or Velo, whatever the hell you call it, and it's tobacco that you put under your gum, by your gum, and it infuses your mouth with nicotine. Fucking awful experience. I'll never use this again. I've only had 2 of them. My gum hasn't stopped hurting from the last time I tried it, so if anyone wants this, let me know. The last thing, and this kind of worked in a way, so 4:30 in the morning, on the morning of the flight, I necked a quad whiskey. So it was really nice single malt that I dropped into a bottle of sugar-free cherry Coke. Absolute sacrilege, but it seemed to do the business. It did calm me just enough to get on the plane. Once I was on the plane, of course, it wasn't quite as good. But anyway, it was fine. I got there fine, and all was well. Now, I don't know if many of you know this, but Ibiza, one of the Balearic Islands, party central of said islands, is quite hot there. Did any of you know that? Yes, well, it was fucking hot, let's put it that way. But we got through it just by taking full advantage of the all-inclusive, all-you-could-fucking eat and drink. So put away a hell of a lot of alcohol. I decided to put my liver on hold for a week and just give it hell, basically. And it seemed to be fine. I didn't have a single hangover. Well, neither of us did. It was quite miraculous. I think it's the heat, really. We're just sweating it out every night, perhaps. But the other great thing about, I guess it was due to the climate or the humidity or whatever the hell it was, but I had 0 joint pains throughout that week. So both my wrists I have trouble with, my knee and my hips have all gone to hell recently. Over there, nothing. It was amazing. It felt like I was back to normal again. And so far, so good. It's the second day back, and I appear to be firing on all cylinders still for the time being. But I don't think that's going to last. Yes, something mystical about the air over there. Lots of wizards around as well, but they don't wear many clothes over there, it turns out, my loves. I'm trying to do the same here. It doesn't go down so well in Exeter. Anyway, I'm never drinking. Yes, I'm carrying on the tradition of drinking every single day. I'll have to taper that off as the week progresses, of course. So I thought I would just give you my reflections on a Sunseekers holiday in Ibiza. We were over in the quieter part of the island. No clubbing for us, my loves. We were at the resort most of the time, but we did bimble into the nearby town and took in one of the local beaches as well. Now, my first thing that I would like to talk about is the fact that, of course, in a resort like this, and the fact that it's absolutely baking, people don't wear many clothes, my loves. And it's interesting, it's the great leveller, if you will. So people were exposed, warts and all. So various body types, including like mine, which is obviously going to seed, my loves. But yes, all wonderful different body shapes and ages, yes. But the interesting thing is, no one kind of survived scrutiny, if you will. So even the most beautiful people there, if you can call them beautiful, tend to be younger people, young men and women, men walking around without fat. It's quite obscene. And women, you know, obviously looking the way they do when they're younger, I suppose. But even they had blemishes, if you look close enough. And I was doing that. To men and women alike, I should say. Now, one thing that did piss me off is that the ones that are obviously quite good looking, or specifically young, shall we say, they kind of, fit, but you know it. Men and women kind of strutting around like they own the place. I had to fire a few spells at them, dear fellows. They didn't know it was coming, of course. Only 2 of them died. Only joking. But it's interesting the lengths that some people will go to look wonderful, I suppose. So there's a gym there. And so bearing in mind it's fucking baking there and you're supposed to be there to have a good time, I saw men in there just going fucking mad, you know, pumping shit really fast just so that they could then get out and then, you know, kind of swagger around. I found that quite interesting. Not in a good way. Yes, the pool. So the pool was relatively small, really. We were slightly disappointed. It was a bit smaller than the wide-angled lens described it in the brochure, but it was still quite nice. A little bit overcrowded at times, and lots of stupid gits throwing balls all over the fucking place, which I didn't like at all. But it was necessary to have the pool because it was so fucking hot. There's only so much alcohol that you can toss down your throat. It won't cool you enough. So occasionally we had to get in the pool and cool our tits right down. It was okay. It was slightly stressful. I don't like being around too many people anyway, and being around a lot of people in the pool, taking my clothes off as you do, I wasn't so keen on that. And one of the days, one of the children took a shit in the pool, my lads. They had to evacuate the pool for an hour or so, and people were not happy. Let's put it that way. Everyone was fucking roasting, and then they were crowding around the bar to get drinks, that was my haunt. That's where I stayed most of the time. These fuckers are intruding on my territory, so to speak. But then, yes, the turd was washed away and everyone returned to the pool. There we are. That was something else that happened. What else happened? Oh, yes. We didn't really think about this part of it, but of course there are mosquitoes around over there, my loves. Get them here, of course, in Britain, but they are few and far between, just the occasional sting here and there. But over there I was being eaten alive, and it was quite annoying. There's some photographs I've taken of my beautiful legs. Most other people, I'd say 95% of the other people there didn't have a single bite on them, but they were all going for me. It's something to do with tasty wizard blood, perhaps. My wife was bit a couple of times, but not too bad. But yeah, there was nothing you could do about it, really. But I was having reactions to the bite, so it wasn't just an annoying little sting. It was fucking bleeding after a few hours, which was not nice. Yes, but it's just a minor problem, really. The only book I ended up reading was the second Elric book. I haven't got it with me. It took a severe battering, it has to be said. It was covered in bloody, well, various beverages, suntan lotion, sweat, tiny modicum of spermatozoa. I'm only joking, of course. But yes, I really enjoyed reading that. But it was quite odd reading about settings that were typically quite miserable in the story, with rain and thunder and all of that. Seafaring stories, these were primarily. And then sat basking in the sun. But it was quite a nice juxtaposition in a way. It worked in a strange way. And reading, as I'm sure it does to everyone else out there, it soothed my anxiety wonderfully. The only problem being, once I'd finished the book and I moved on to my next one, I felt this horrible jolt, like I'd been forcibly removed from one universe and stuck in another, and I couldn't get on with the next one, which was Cymax City, which I'm reading now quite merrily. But yes, that was an unpleasant jolt at the time. So that was pretty much the holiday in a nutshell. I didn't really talk about the beach, did I? But yes, this was a kind of local beach for locals primarily. So the resort was almost, I'd say, 80% British. So I spoke to some Welsh, some other English people, a couple of Irish people as well, 4 of them actually. That was quite splendid. We were talking about Guinness and whatnot. And then the others were made up of Germans and Dutch. That's about it, I think. But down on the beach, it was mostly, well, we heard some English voices, but mostly Spaniards there. And it was wonderful. Felt slightly tentative about putting our towel down on the beach and occupying their space. But they were all quite lovely and got a few smiles here and there. Didn't speak any Spanish, though, of course, and don't have much at my disposal, either of us. But the water was wonderful. So warm, and unlike the pool, which was very deep actually, the pool was about 7 feet at the deep end up at the resort. The sea was obviously more buoyant because of the salt, and we were just lying on our backs and just floating away. It was quite lovely. Excuse me. Of course, there were some bare-chested young maidens on the beach, my love. This happens on mainland, or the continent of Europe primarily. It doesn't typically happen over in Britain because it's slightly too cold usually. But yes, lots of exposed chests. But we kept our clothes on, actually. Yes, we are British after all. But yeah, and I didn't get any sun on the old wand. But it's still got a nice kind of burnt mahogany colour to it, which is just a natural colour that it has, my loves. Now, the other problem we encountered, which, I mean, Vanessa's done holidays like this before. This is my first experience of the all-inclusive resort type thing. It's the situation with the lilos, or whatever you call them, the beds, the sunbeds that it's nice to lie down and sunbathe on. These fucking things, someone puts their towel on, that's theirs for the rest of the day. That's the fucking rule. So you had these fucking cretins that would come down in the fucking, about 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, put a towel on it, and then the fucker's theirs for the whole day, whether they use the devil or not. So we struggle to find these beds occasionally. One time, Vanessa decided, well, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So she went down and, earmarked 2 of them for ours. Unfortunately, it was under a tree and there was bird shit all over the place. And then I was paranoid that the bird shit would contain some kind of disease which would go into my suppurating sores that I had from the mosquitoes. But no, it was all fine. But yeah, occasional bird shit flying our way. But yes, on the whole, a wonderful experience. Now, I decided to come back on the plane completely sober. So after a week of drinking heavily every single day, I thought it would be a great idea to go back on, to brave the flight with 0 going through my veins, other than my rescue remedy, which was pretty much necking before the end. It was okay. I think I'm past the worst of my problem, I would say. And the solution for me is headphones, just listening to really loud music for the duration and not listening to all the other fucking sounds that go on. And the other deal breaker for me was sitting near the front of the plane, so you don't see how big the plane is, you don't see all the other people and imagine them all dying, things like that. Yeah, there's various things that go through my mind at any given moment, my loves. But there we are. That was the honeymoon. I think it was a success for both of us. Vanessa enjoyed herself and I did as well, but I was very glad to come home. Let's put it that way. Yes, that was the best part for me. Well, not really. The other thing, one last thing, is getting into the holiday feel, if you will. I mean, for the first few days, we're kind of lost, really. Don't really know the way things work, where you can go, what you can do. By the time you're used to it, you've only got a few days left, and there's this kind of melancholy feeling that's hanging in the background. But I think next time we'll go for longer. Yes, and I'll probably drink a quad again, both ways, quad whiskey, and that will sort me out just wonderfully. Anyway, there we are. That's a nice long ramble fest from yours truly. I'm sure you've missed me just talking about a load of old shit. But anyway, let's leave it there. Next week, business as usual, my loves. Until then, cheerio, and hope you're all well and happy and all of the rest of it. Anyway, cheerio.